In this one, I'm going to take a little look at Battlefield 2042 Hazard Zone and give you my opinions on the mode itself and what I think's actually going to happen with this new Escape from Tarkov / Hunt Showdown extraction mode. As you can see in the background of this video, I've used a couple of clips from the trailer, but also some top plays that I've had sent in for 2042. I've only got a handful in the background here as I didn't get sent in enough to make a third episode. Just enjoy them. The players are all linked down in the description below as well, so you can check out their channels if you want to. A big shout out to Logitech as well. They have been sponsoring this channel and we're looking to do another giveaway before the end of the year. Keep an eye on my Twitter for that. Of course, you can find all of the Logitech gear that I use currently down in the description below. I've got Amazon links to all of them, just so you can have a browse if you want to see what's on offer. Initially, when I saw the trailer, I thought it was fairly impressive. I'd prefer a little more gameplay in there, but I do understand that these trailers are there just to build some hype. The gameplay will come at a later date. My biggest concern, though, of course, comes around the fact that DICE are once again splitting up the game into different experiences, almost giving part of the game a really big chance of failing, like they did in Battlefield 5 with Firestorm. Splitting the game up into those three different experiences will, of course, offer players a bit of everything. If you enjoy massive all-out war conquest, DICE have got you covered, no doubt. If you want a more tactical, squad-based extraction mode, Hazard Zone is probably for you. And if you're like me and you're a fan of the older Battlefield content and you really enjoy the freedom to create your own sandbox and experience, Portal is going to be bang on for you. Trying to create all three of these experiences, though, and cater to pretty much everyone in the community is a monumental task. And after the Firestorm Battle Royale mode we saw would be a 5 flopped, really. You can probably see where I'm coming from with this splitting the player base argument. What I mean is that by focusing on one particular part of Battlefield, we might get a better game overall, and they've done that in the past. Battlefield 3 is probably the best example of this. It focused on just a few modes. Lots of maps and DLCs came out, sure, but everyone knew what they were getting into with Battlefield 3. It was very simple. Get online, a couple of different modes, and then you just play the game. All your skills are transferable from one mode to the other. The squad systems, the loadouts, everything, the classes, it just made a lot of sense to a new player coming in and then had that depth in the game if you continued to play for a lot more hours. Battlefield 2042 is already looking quite complicated. I'd much sooner DICE focus on that all-out war experience with Conquest and Breakthrough and then Battlefield Portal. In fact, I think Battlefield Portal itself is enough to be an entire game, providing that we did have those new maps in there. I think really they are biting off a whole lot here. I really do hope it works. That's just my initial impression looking in. Some of these modes might not be popular whatsoever. Some say that making Hazard Zone a free-to-play could solve the issue of getting enough players on board and online to play that experience, but I don't think the initial player numbers will be a problem for any mode in 2042. A load of people played the beta, more than you think, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the game releases on launch. They're going to have to definitely do some work to the servers because I'm sure that they'll underestimate how many people will download and play this game. Even after all the bugs in the beta, people are just waiting for a new Battlefield game. They're so hungry for it that many who are even on the fence will just go in for 2042. The problem though with players will be retention, as with most games. Sure, making this particular mode, Hazard Zone, a free-to-play could entice new players in, and it definitely would be something that I'd be on board with if they made it a free-to-play, but I don't think that that single-handedly will make Hazard Zone a great mode. And with free-to-play, of course, you have loads of other problems that come along with it. The main one being cheating, and we don't know how 2042 is going to hold up against cheaters yet. We haven't really given it a fair chance. Firestorm in BF5 should have been a free-to-play looking back. I think most people realise that if you want a successful kind of side mode and you're trying to push microtransactions as well, free-to-play is probably where it's at the minute in the FPS world. I'm not too sure if Hazard Zone also fits that bill. Personally, I think it probably could do with being a free-to-play. I'm just unsure as to whether a lot of people will play this mode. Without having played Hazard Zone yet, I can already tell that there will be some issues with it. I assume there won't be a ranked mode, so once you've won a match and leveled up, you'll then stomp on other players. And in addition to that, players that are usually at the top of scoreboards play with friends and they're in Discord together or on a party chat on the console, whatever it is. That's going to be a massive advantage, which you could say, sure, get some friends and start playing, but most people will probably play solo or in a pair. A lot of people will find it difficult getting into a squad of 4. Pre-made squads of tryhards will probably stomp on Hazard Zone, and I do feel as if the large maps as well, with just a handful of players all fighting for a win, sounds quite a lot like a battle royale, even though DICE have said that it's more of a hunt showdown style mode, I suppose, without using those exact words. It just doesn't fit in with everything else in the game so far. Just take a look at what we got to play in the beta. This was pretty much an all-out sandbox with very little team play at all, no cohesive teamwork as far as I'm aware, pretty much no objective play from what I experienced personally, and everyone was just running around doing whatever they wanted. The specialists and the removal of the class system is probably a good example of the direction overall that we're going with. Doesn't mean it's not fun, that's just the direction they're going with. Now you've got Hazard Zone coming in, which basically is exactly the opposite. You've got a mode that is trying to get people to communicate. You've got people trying to play arguably the most tactical mode we've seen since Squad Obliteration in Battlefield 4. Just to follow up on that, Squad Obliteration, whilst it's a load of fun in Battlefield 4, that was also a mode that had absolutely no players immediately, as everyone just went to play Conquest and Rush. So if we're looking back at history, that's probably what we're going to see with 2042 Hazard Zone. Let me know what you think of Hazard Zone down below. In terms of the actual mode itself, I do like the idea. I think it could be a bunch of fun. Will it be a free-to-play? No. DICE, I think, have said something's going to be free-to-play. I thought they were alluding to the mobile game. I doubt Battlefield Portal will be a free-to-play. I'm not too sure. We'll have to wait and see. In other news, apparently DICE have sent out a questionnaire asking players whether they prefer a specialist system, like we saw in the beta, or the more traditional 4-class system we've seen in the last few titles. Just to weigh in with my opinion here, I think I've made it pretty clear that I'm not a fan of the specialist system that we've got. I prefer the old class system. I do understand why people like the specialist. You've got that sandbox, freedom, you can pick whatever you want, you can come up with these cool loadouts and go for epic plays. But for me, what little teamwork we did have in Battlefield, which separated it from all the other FPS games that I play with that kind of massive all-out war experience that you rarely get with anything apart from Battlefield, that's pretty much disappeared. I didn't get revived at all. I found it difficult to pick a loadout that really had a set purpose. I was just running around like a maniac the entire time. I don't know, maybe that's the way the franchise is going. For me, I prefer the way it used to be, and then the specialists would probably be underneath each of the classes. So you'd have a few medic specialists, a few engineer specialists, and so on, and they'd each have their own trait and potentially gadget. Again, that's another completely different debate to be had. I'm fairly sure DICE are thinking about doing something with the specialists though. And when it comes to Hazard Zone, they have of course limited what specialists you can take per squad, so it's definitely a topic that they are discussing. Let's see what they come up with. Let's wait for some gameplay for Hazard Zone. I'm not sure when it's coming or whether we'll get any before release. I am looking forward to playing it, but I'm just thinking of all the 3 experiences, Hazard Zone is definitely the weakest, and probably one that I don't want to say it'll be dead on arrival, that's not very fair, but I don't think we'll see a whole load of players engaging with Hazard Zone compared to the other 2 modes. I'll certainly be playing Portal, that's for sure. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.